Hello and welcome to another edition of In Between the Pages with James Lott Jr. I'm James Lott Jr. Here on my network, JLJ Media. That's right, kids. It's another music episode, which I love. I love music. You guys know I love music. I do music. I love music. And this person, I'm obsessed with. Let's see, one, two, three, four. Yes, four songs. Four songs she has out. From an album that came out last year during the quarantine. We're going to talk about that and what that means. The album's called You Don't Have to Go Home, but You Can't Stay Here. I love that. And what's about that? But she has a real name, but she goes by Party Nails. So I was gonna call her Party Nails. Hi, Party Nails.
Hi, James. How are you?
And fine. I love the hair. My hair is like really big right now. I'm just kind of
Oh my God, wait, it's amazing. You
like
just did
crazy.
a great reveal.
I know, it's like,
Like,
bam, there you go. It's a little wild right now, so I'm gonna leave it down at the moment. It's a little wild at the moment.
I love it.
Yes,
Nicely done.
thank
Mine
you.
is like okay today. Not the best hair, not the worst hair.
Well, you're busy because you're busy doing it, busy doing your touring and doing stuff. So,
For
are
sure,
you
yeah.
playing? You're in Seattle right now.
We are in between. We did Sacramento last night, and then we're doing Seattle on Wednesday. So right now we're in Eugene, Oregon. We literally just got into the hotel room like 2 seconds before I pulled up this session. So yeah.
The life of a star. No, here's the thing. So you can't. So you did Sacramento. That's my hometown. So you just where'd you play in Sacramento?
Oh, Scheisse. I wish that we met there. We played at Holy Diver. It's like
Oh
a
yeah.
metal
Okay.
club.
Yeah. I know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was
I
a
like
Sunday night, so it was really, it was a Sunday night.
yeah.
So
It's chill.
next time we'll have to do Friday or
Or
Saturday.
Saturday. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, Sacramento. I could tell you to go to Jim Boy's Tacos on 29th and that's the place.
Oh, I've never been there. Okay. We
Jim
went
Boy's is
to
the bomb. The tacos are this crack on the shells. I don't know what it is. It's so good. I swear to God, they're so good. Sounds like a kid.
memories. I can
That's
see you having them.
like them. They're so good. So Jim Boy's Tacos, folks in Sacramento. I'm just gonna tell you that.
Okay, good to know. We will be back there, so very good to know.
Four songs.
Four
Okay.
songs. Tell me what are, well, I
Okay.
guess you'll tell me. I guess you'll
I'm gonna
tell
tell
me.
you right now.
Okay.
Beer Lust,
Hmm.
very ethereal, very disco-fied.
Hmm.
Emeralds, very 80s. Cut to Bleed, which reminds me, I hate this to people because but it does remind, I hate to compare people, but it reminds me of Chief Berlin, Terry Nunn. That music sounds very Berlin to me from the
I'm
80s.
not super familiar, so that's
Okay,
cool.
no, that's
I,
fine.
I don't mind comparisons at all. I
Oh,
actually
you
feel
don't, okay.
like I like them a lot. Yeah, because it's fun to see what other people hear, and I use them too. Because like, what else are you gonna do? Like, just be like, it sounds good. Like it's like a descriptor, you know?
Well, else people find your music even best. Another way to find your music. Well, if you like this band, we do sound a little similar here.
Totally, totally. These are great choice. Like these are not what I expected. So this
Okay,
is
and my
great.
last one I'm obsessed with is Dream Closely.
Oh,
It's the piano, it's the trembling vocal. It's so we're gonna talk about each of those,
okay.
but those are the four that I can't stop playing right now. They're on my
Oh,
Spotify playlist. They're my liked songs.
that makes me so happy.
They're really good. No, I here's the thing, right? I think you agree with me. Art's very important. We should support art. We should protect art. We should be like putting art, especially during this quarantine, this whole pandemic, this whole weird political time period.
Mhm.
Music, we need it. We need it. We need it. And so for you, putting together an album, putting it out during that time period, was that a hard choice to make, or was it like, no, put on music, I'm gonna put it out?
Yeah, that's a great question. And it certainly didn't feel like normal. It definitely, but none of them like every single release feels a little different. And you just get better at you get better at the things that you weren't good at during the last one. But then there's a whole new frontier of things that couldn't even enter your mind. So releasing something in quarantine, and I've done them all independently. So it's not like I had this group of people like that I was dealing with their emotions about the pandemic. It was really just like me and the people that I've done the other releases with, like the distributor and a publicist and people that I can really relate to on a personal level. So I imagine if it were a larger team or more of a corporate kind of a feeling with the team behind releasing stuff, like a bigger label or something, I might have felt the effects of that more. But it was really interesting I feel like the people who listened and wrote about it really kind of did approach it a little bit differently than maybe in prior years. Like there was definitely like a real appreciation for how it wasn't like other things that they'd heard before, which I hadn't received that feedback before, and I felt very seen because like I did really want to make something that felt accessible and interesting to listen to and like relevant sonically to what was happening, but certainly wasn't like something else. I didn't want it to sound like just another like chill wave song on Spotify or whatever. So I was glad that like that was kind of received and not just like why did she put out an album? I guess maybe that was my big fear, was that it would just be like why.
That was mine. That was one of mine too. My last year I put out an album last year, June. I was like, my thing was like, well, do people care? What are they going to care? Is it
Yeah.
going to be like, well, you're trying to get money from us, or you're trying to get spins from, like, I just wondered if
Yeah.
that was it important to that first.
Actually, those specific thoughts I certainly did have initially, and they were quelled by a couple of people who I shared them with, who said, like people need music. They just need it. And, if they don't have the funds or if they don't have the time, then they won't have to listen to it. But I don't think there's a situation in which somebody will think it's sort of self-serving, right? Because it's not like, yeah, exactly.
Well,
It's definitely.
we're here to entertain. We're here to entertain.
Exactly. It's definitely, it starts with an urge within myself, but like the process is really trying to figure out a way to make that accessible to listeners, not to myself. Like I can just write in my notebook if I want to access my feelings myself. Like
Right,
I don't
right.
need to go through this crazy process of making an album, but I want to because I want the songs to, be there for people.
Now,
So
also
yeah.
last year when you released it, there was no touring or anything yet, was there? When you released it?
No,
So that's another thing I
there
know my
wasn't.
friends, because normally you would put out an album and then you go play some dates. That's like almost a natural thing. You put out a
Yeah.
single, then you play some dates. You put out an album, you play some dates. You tour around, you do this, you go over here, and that wasn't happening yet. There hadn't been the booster shot. All the other stuff had happened yet. So what was that like for you?
It was a little maddening. I'm
Yes,
actually here. I'm here with my tour mate in our hotel room,
hi tour
and
mates. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
she's waving from her
Like,
bed. It's the
like I'm not ready for the camera yet. I'm not ready for the camera yet. That's fine.
yeah. um, yeah, we definitely like texted a lot about like the things that we missed about touring, and we were on a tour until until the beginning of March
Oh,
2020.
wow.
So
Okay.
it was like really brushing. I think I was home back in LA off of tour for maybe a week before businesses closed and
Yeah, yeah.
like there was a shutdown and stuff.
Yeah.
So it came really quickly. So I think, at first it just felt like a normal, like, oh, we're taking a little break between something. And then like the texting started like, oh my God, I miss just like being on the highway and listening to, of course we miss the shows
Right. No,
and
of course, of
being with people and all of the adventures and the songs and the musicality, but also just everything that comes with it, like actually just being in different places and traveling. And we even started missing being dirty. Like that's insane.
course. It
Yeah.
makes sense. It makes sense though, because I remember the first time I went out to a restaurant and was waited on. I almost sobbed like a baby. I'm like, it's like, yes, I'll take water. I'll take some water, please. Like, please. Yes, you can clear the table. I don't have to wash dishes. Thank you, so I love you so much. I
I
love
love
you.
you. That's so cute. I had a similar like teary moment last night at our show. The opener had a lot of friends come out, or they weren't just friends, it was an all ages show, so they had a cool following of like younger people, and just seeing like, like 20 somethings just like doing their music thing, I was just like, I got a little teary. I was like, they just love it so much. It makes me so happy.
But we did. We totally. I mean, that's the whole point. It's like we almost got a reset button last year. That's how I look at it. As it was a reset. It's almost like we took everything for granted. Like we just naturally did. I mean, and the fact that we couldn't
Yeah.
go to a restaurant, you couldn't go
Yeah.
to a show, a live show. I didn't realize how much I missed live shows. The last show I went to, what was the last show I went to? Okay, so I went to a musical at the Pantages. That was in
Oh.
February. That was late February 2020. I saw Donna Summer the musical.
Oh, that sounds amazing.
Oh, everybody's dancing in the aisles, but then we sat down in March. But actually, a live show, I would say, was last year. It was 2019. Sometime I saw a show in 2019.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, I think it was either Katy Perry or Billie
That
Eilish, one
sounds
or two.
amazing too.
Yeah, one of
But
those. But
so long ago.
so long ago, it's like I go to shows every year. I go to small shows, big show, like probably like you. The thing is, like
Mhm.
we go out, and that's
Totally.
like gone. Because as you know, LA was just like, come out, everybody. The streets were rolled up.
Yeah.
There was nothing open, basically.
Hmm.
And so that's just a weird. So I guess I get that we got a little sentimental. It's like I take it for granted. So now when I go places, I'm just like, so happy to be here. I'm so happy to be here. So happy to be here.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
You're
you. Thank
welcome.
you.
Thank you. Thank you. Totally. Totally. No, if you can feel it too, and I agree. Unpopular opinion, but I definitely felt like grateful for the reset in a way, not just like on a meta level, but definitely on a personal level. Like I feel like I was able to actually kind of get ahead of myself rather than just trying to keep up with myself, because life just is like that sometimes, and it's nice to be able to go back in with a perspective rather than with a sense of like feeling behind or rushed or something like that. And I've heard that said in other ways from people that I know, not necessarily rushed versus not rushed, but just a sense of like, as boring as it was or as miserable as it was at times, I also ended up learning this or figuring that out. And so it's, yeah. And I think on a meta level, it's important. Not that, I don't want suffering to happen the way that it did. But it seems that every time it does in a pandemic era, there is sort of a global or regional reset depending on how far it reaches.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah.
So okay, I want to ask you about some of these certain songs. So
Oh yeah.
let's start with Beer Lust.
Beer lust.
Ethereal, disco. I loved it. Where'd that come from?
Yeah, that song was so like natural to come into the world, and I'd really wanted to play more with like housey beats, and I couldn't really find a way to contextualize it for myself on the creative end until Robin put out her album Honey.
Oh yeah, yes.
And then there was
Sound rock.
something so beautiful, and there was something about that album. I'm a huge Robin fan, and that album felt so like post house kind of, that it kind of just gave me permission to try it in a soft way rather than in a like Chicago house OG kind of a way, because it felt disingenuous to try to be like, I will now be what the house people were, like in the 80s. Like that's not a thing,
Right,
right? I
right,
mean, people certainly try to do that, but that wasn't how I wanted to approach it. So she kind of gave me a lot of ideas, and I was also listening to After Laughter, Paramore's most recent album, a
oh
lot.
yeah, yeah. I like them.
Yeah, and the writing on that feels very like, there's a lot of writing, there's a lot of lyrics and a lot of melodies, but it also feels so like colloquial and natural. I mean, Haley Williams is like a really talented singer, so that's sort of comes with a grain of salt to say that it sounds
Yeah,
natural.
yeah, I understand.
But
Yeah,
there's something about it where it just felt like, okay, let's see what comes. It inspired me to be like, let's see what comes to mind. Like, I write all the time. I'm sure that if I push myself to do it with a sense of almost like brevity or like a light stroke, that something interesting might happen. And that's kind of how Beerless happened. Um, and uh I was just playing with my voice in a new way, and I really liked how that was going, and I tried to replicate it after I'd made the demo vocal, and I couldn't. So that is the very first time I ever sang those lyrics ever,
wow. Because
because I
folks at
just
home,
couldn't.
just so you know, this usually doesn't happen. Usually, there's a lot of alliterations of
Yes,
vocals from
usually. Yeah, it was anywhere from like a couple of takes to a full-on Frankenstein vocal, because it's a thing that's gonna live forever. Like you wanna, it's like making a movie, right? Like you're not gonna be like, that was an okay take, like let's move on. It's like, no, 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 we're gonna get it. So yeah, but something every now and then there's something that just can't like be replicated in the same exact, like something about like the sound of the room, the sound of the microphone I was using that was really just for live performance, but I just happened to have it plugged in, and all these like pieces kind of came together, and it just made it hard to replicate, and definitely I couldn't make it better.
Yeah.
So we just kept it, and I brought it to the finish line with my co-producer Ben Greenspan, who like really, really just super encouraged me to follow my weird rather than kind of writing it away, which has been that's another approach for sure, to be like, I don't know, like why are we doing this weird thing? Let's make it a little more pop instead of weird. But it was fun to get weird.
Well, the thing is, I get what you're saying when you mentioned the whole. I don't want to try to almost be like an imposter or try to like
Yeah.
try to be that particular genre that you're trying to accomplish. There's ways to pay homage to that genre and to actually make it your own on some level. And I
Yeah,
think
for
that's
sure.
why Beer Less probably that's why I like it so much because it's not a Paradise Land Garage thing back in Chicago with Larry Levan. All that. I know all that history. I know all that.
Yeah,
It's
that's
not.
amazing.
But it's not. You're not. I don't feel like it's disingenuous. Like it's not that at all. It's like it's this house beat going to this song. I'm like, oh, okay, I didn't expect that, and I like it. And so now, but it's now stuck in my brain. Now it's like an earworm in my brain. It's
Yeah,
still stuck in there in a good way that it's in there. But it's like it's just this kind of very light. It's like okay, I'm gonna just get down for a bit, and that's how it felt like. It didn't feel like anything super derivative or anything of like you're
that's so
trying so
sweet.
hard.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. And I agree. I don't want, I want to uphold myself and also other people to like do that, right? To not just be like, well, I did it, right? Like it doesn't sound like the thing. And it's like, well, sorry, but like the thing, first of all, doesn't really belong to you. The second
Right.
of all, like it's kind of not happening
Right.
anymore. I mean, it is and it isn't, but yeah, for sure. I definitely want to make sure everything is like propelling us forward rather than just trying to replicate and reclaim and all of that
'Cause I've
stuff.
heard people who they you can tell they try too hard. You can tell like, okay, it's like okay, you want to almost do like paint by numbers, piece
Yeah.
by piece to this. And like that's a little too on the nose. Like it's a little on the nose. And we like weird. Weird is
Yeah.
fine. Weird is fine.
Mhm.
Okay. So I want to mention, okay, so with Emeralds and Cut to Bleed, both of them are very 80s sounding. Yet they
Mm.
also sound modern. And even with Emeralds, little 90s in it.
Yeah, for sure. A little
I felt that.
uplifting.
I felt that. But they both had this retro feel in the music, especially, and in your vocal and in the lyric. I love this. So tell me about both those songs. I love it.
So Cut to Bleed came first. It was actually written toward the end of my album before that. And
Oh,
I
okay.
thought to myself, like, okay, I really like it. I'm really happy with it. I'm really proud of it. It just doesn't fit into this album for some reason. And I kind of saved it. And that was part of what kind of guided the second full length album.
Oh,
Um,
okay. Okay.
yeah. And I really like that. Really liked that process. It actually started as like a strummy, more country type song. And I have a couple of unplugged versions of it. One on my Bandcamp. There's like a deluxe version of the album, and so there's some bonus tracks at the end. One is an unplugged version of Cut to Bleed in that
Wow.
style. Yeah, it's weird how it really works, but it like that's how it was initially written. And yeah, I wrote that with there's this keyboard called a microKORG, and they have it has a built-in vocoder. So you can get really great digital synth sounds, but you can also plug in a microphone and then have your voice come out this kind of weird distorted vocoder sound. So when you're hitting the keys, it's not only like making the Daft Punk kind of vocoder sound or like the Stevie Wonder
Yeah,
vocoder
yeah,
sound, it's
yeah.
making the like it almost sounds like a really mad robot.
Hey, what would
I'm
be
like, I
mad?
don't
Sure, why
I don't
not?
know where I have heard it before. Um, but yeah, I might have even increased the distortion like in my computer session later too. And so that kind of helped me understand the vibe of that. And yeah, I just really followed my heart on that one and didn't really want to experiment with collaborating too much on that one because I felt like there was something that I wanted to preserve. And I'm feeling less like that for the next album that I'm working on now. It feels like cool. I just that's not kind of the creative place where I am at, but there's something nice about the individualism of Cut to Bleed, and then Emeralds is similar in a way where it's sort of like get out of my way, I have some shit to do. But instead of being like totally empowered and good and reflective, it's really defensive writing wise. It's really like, I'm totally fine, everything's fine, but you're totally not fine, and you're just hammered, and you just need to continue on this railroad train basically to your own hell of your own making. We actually made a music video for it just a month ago or so. It was so much fun. And I had to pretend to be drunk and like drinking all around LA. And it's I was really struck by like how wanting like how to pretending to like want to keep drinking and like being really drunk in a parking lot in Chinatown feels really similar to anger. Like, and I didn't think about that when I was writing the song, but it kind of all comes full circle in a way. So when we play Emeralds live, it's one of the ones that really like gets people wanting to
I'm sure, yes.
participate. Yeah, it's really, really fun. And yeah, that one just started actually on a tour bus. I like grabbed a couple of samples and I could barely hear it because tour buses are so loud. But I just kind of started the weird little piano sample and then the hi-hat sample and then continued to build it from there. Again, with the co-producer, Ben, who did Beerless with me as well. And actually Beerless started that same way, a couple of samples on a tour bus.
All right.
And yeah, again, just kind of being like, all right, well, Ben just gave me permission to like not change a whole lot. And now we need lyrics. I'm going to go write those lyrics a la After Laughter. And then we're going to pop into the studio and just kind of boop it about bop boop. And that was the approach to those. Cut to Bleed was a little more like carefully done, but it was just me. So it takes a little longer when you're the only person pulling the strings. No, that's great. I like that process a lot, but yeah.
Yeah, no, so let me ask you, because now I know for me sometimes every like you said, every album approach is different. And so some of my albums, I have like maybe 20, 30 songs.
Wow, that's
I
amazing.
think I write all the time, always writing all the time. And I put
Yeah.
them together. But like you just said, one song can at the end of another album time you can put on there. That's how I have some songs I put on. I like that doesn't really fit for that. I'll just hold on to it in the vaults. I'll put it in the vaults. And maybe it'll come out later for something like making a song. I'm just wondering for you, what I mean, is each album process? I'm sure they're all different, but is it more like I'm recording and writing songs like this many, about this many for each album, or do you leave it open?
I'm trying to make it a little more intentional than it has been because I think I've realized exploring with these other albums that that's the approach I want to take as an artist. But that doesn't mean that I'll always feel that way. So the
Yeah.
first two felt very much like I want to express a certain musicality and a certain journey of songs over the course of the record. Um, and here's the options I have available to myself to be able to do that. And so now it feels more like I want to create an album that people can put on and I know the experience I want them to have. And it's not that that thing wasn't part of the first two albums. It's just like this is so much part of that. Like as much as I love adding an unplugged song in the middle of an album, and that was like so important for those first two albums, it's really not important for this next one. I don't know why really, besides those things I just said. Like it's almost like the journey of album making is like the big picture version of song making, kind of. It itself becomes this gesture with like a beginning, middle, and end, and you're kind of working on them all at once. And then at some point, you're like, oh, this is starting to really look like this thing. So yeah, like right now, I can tell what songs are gonna be on it because I know what those songs like personalities are. But I don't know how many people could listen to the songs and like feel the energy from them because they're all still need to be worked on, you know. So
I always feel like, well, every album, of course, is a timestamp in your life. It's a timestamp. So like this album was where you were. The last album was where you was at that time.
yeah.
You know, before that was where you was at that time. You know what I mean? Like they're all. So it makes sense that hopefully we evolve and change as we get older. That means that our approaches and what we thought was important 2 albums ago doesn't mean shit now. I mean, now we're doing something in a different direction. So I think that makes sense. That totally makes sense.
Yeah, Robin once said that an interviewer said to her, like, how do you keep evolving? And she said, keep becoming more of myself. I just keep going deeper into the same thought, like, because she wanted to differentiate it from actually changing, because she doesn't feel that she's changed as much as just continued to become it, you know. I thought that was cool.
That's cool. And then the album, the last song that I want to talk about with the piano and the vocals is "Dream Closely." What a beautiful song.
Thank you.
I heard it and I'm like, where'd this come from? And I just compared to the rest of the album. I mean, there's other songs there, but this song to me stands out. It's a very unique sounding song. So can you talk about that song?
Thank you. Yeah, I heard a piano ballad in passing like that day, maybe even like 10 minutes before I started writing that song, and I thought to myself, I want to write that. I want to write a piano ballad. Like, it's, logistically pretty simple, like from a musical perspective, pick a couple chords. And so I just did, and it became this sort of that like picture of disconnection that I was experiencing, and just kind of sitting in that feeling. And I think that I'd been trying to express that in other ways too, like a lot of the other songs that I'd written for that album in that time period versus, songs that came from earlier time periods, they were kind of getting at that feeling of like, I'm too busy, I'm too drunk to want to do something else. I'm busy dancing, I'm busy empowering myself, blah 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 blah, all these things. And then at the very end it's like, oh, but what happened? Like,
Right.
like there is more to a life than just yourself. And you do obviously need to take care of yourself, but part of, being an adult and being a healthy person is being able to be there for other people. And I think that's kind of what I was trying to express in that song, is what it feels like to realize that you haven't been able to do that, and what it feels like to, I guess, be giving somebody else that feeling. Like, it just is an interesting, coming of age, kind of coming of 30 age, and I loved exploring the piano sound because it was just really unexpected. It was definitely one of those things where I was like, all right, it's now or never. Like, you have the idea this second, you have a couple of hours, do it, or shit or get off the pot, basically, And so that's what I did, and I just was like, cool, let's roll with this. And I'm really proud of it too. I'm glad that it sticks out to you. That makes me happy.
I love it. So you're on tour right now. How long are you on tour for?
We're on tour until Sunday night. We'll be wrapping up the tour in San Diego, and prior to that, we'll be in San Francisco. And on on Thursday we're in Portland. Friday we're in San Francisco. And Seattle on Wednesday. Yeah. I'm like,
I'll do it for you. You're in Seattle, then okay. Then you're going up and down the coast, the West Coast, basically.
Yes. Yep. Yep. It's going to be awesome. And we've already done 3 dates and they've been really fun. So we're glad to be out. And it's nice that it's kind of short, just in case we can't handle it. But so far we love it. So.
Yeah. And lastly, I can talk to you forever, but lastly, Party Nails, where'd that come from? The name?
I needed a name for the project, and I saw some girls doing their nails, and I thought it was really sweet that they were doing each other's nails. And they, nobody really notices, but they did, and it made them feel empowered. And it was just this little detail to add to their, to their journey for themselves. And I thought that was cool, and it sounds good.
I like that. Well, when your next album comes out, let's come back on the show.
I would love that.
I will listen to it. I will talk about it with you. I want to follow your journey now. I want to see what your journey is.
Thank you. Yeah. I'm excited for your album too. It's fun to talk to a musician who has questions about the process, like who wants to talk about the process, because it's fun to dig in. So
because you'll get interviewers just like, so your name and what do you do? And like, I want to get to the weeds, as they say, about like how'd you come up with this and the music and oh my goodness and the songwriting. I love that stuff.
Exactly.
So I'm really excited for your next album when it comes out. So you got to come back on the show and talk about it.
I would love that. Thank you.
So Party Nails is the act. And so can you tell us where they can find you anywhere with social media, where they can find your music and everything?
Yeah, all my handles are at partypartynails, so two parties, one nails. And my website's the same, partypartynails.com. And yeah, that's oh, we're on Spotify, of course. We're on all
Yeah,
the
go to
things.
Spotify first. So I got mine. So go to Spotify. There, hit follow, and then it says follow,
Press all
and
the
then
follow
all the
buttons.
follow buttons, and then just
Just like
and
da,
then
da, 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 da,
yeah, and take a listen. You will not be sorry. But she is on all social media platforms. So you go ahead. Don't just do it. So do it. Just do it. I
do
said
it.
so. Do
Thank
it.
you, James.
My pleasure. Everybody, I am James Lott Jr. And of course, you can follow my music, of course, on Spotify and everywhere too at James Lott Jr. But also follow us on In Between the Pages on Facebook. And then we're also on every streaming service platform out there. And on my YouTube channel, which is JLJ Media. Hit the subscribe button. I always point the wrong spot. I think it's down here. Or it's over here. It's a red triangle that says subscribe. And hit it. It's down here somewhere. Hit it. Be kind, rewind. And we'll see you next time. Support the arts. Support the arts.